What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the podcast. We are excited to be here. It is the holidays, and
ho ho ho.
Yeah, we are looking forward to holiday parties. We got a few of those coming up.
Yep,
that we're going to together.
Yeah. Okay, question for the group. We have, if you're watching on video, you'll see we have Al sitting to our left. But I do have a question. What are you guys looking forward to this Christmas?
I'm looking forward to chilling, hanging out.
Yeah.
I'm off for like a week.
That's amazing.
So I'm just like looking forward to watching TV and ordering Indian food. It's my favorite thing to do.
Dude,
Yes.
yes. Takeout Indian's so good
So
too. And
good.
it's like, it stays good for a few days. You
Yeah.
just kind of.
Yes.
What show are you going to watch though?
I've like watched everything at this
Oh, no.
point. But I hope something good comes out. Housewives.
posted.
Housewives.
Yes.
I just started watching Sex in the City.
Oh, really?
And it's actually, sorry for those that find that risque, but it's 90s risque, right? You know,
Right.
It's actually pretty risque. Sorry, but it's good. It's
Yeah,
good. Like
I
the
need to do
90s
that.
nostalgia,
Yeah.
2000s nostalgia. It's pretty
I
great.
need to do that.
Which one do you identify as?
What's the brunette one that's like always trying to like get married?
Charlotte? You're not Charlotte. I'm
Okay,
sorry
who
to
am I?
burst your
No,
bubble.
I've only watched like a few episodes. I'm new to the show. Maybe Carrie. I feel like I'm a little Carrie.
Sorry, you're not
Who do you
Carrie.
think I am?
You're-
the like Spock?
Yes.
No.
No.
She's so, no.
She's so annoying. You're the
No.
worst.
I want to be the slut one. What's her name?
Oh,
She's fun.
Yeah, she's
oh my
the
gosh,
funniest.
yes.
I like her
What
the
is
best.
her name?
Samantha?
Samantha.
I want to be Samantha.
Okay, yeah, no, I can see it. I can see it. Yeah.
so
I also want to be Samantha, so we'll fight for it. And you are.
I'm Charlotte. We already know this.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, you're Charlotte. That's why I can't be
Charlotte.
Charlotte because you're
I see.
Charlotte. That actually tracks. Yeah, we can't both be Charlotte. Okay, can I just be like Carrie? Let me be Carrie.
You could be Mr. Big.
Ew, he's a jerk. Anyways, okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Actually, you intro because
It's Al.
It's Al.
Short
but how
form.
do you say your?
It's Alan. But when I go to Starbucks or like Jamba Juice, I haven't been in years, but they they'll ask me, "What's your name?" And I say, "It's Al," and then they yell out, "It's Al!" Like that's my whole name.
It's Al.
It's
We
Al.
have
It's
Al.
Al.
That's so funny.
Well, we brought you on today because you're well, you have a really cool story. And
Thank you.
and you're actually local, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like we've had people from all over the place. And I'm like, no, there's someone in Sacramento. And also you're doing a lot of cool things around this city.
Yes.
You're doing some really cool pop-ups and we want to highlight those as well. But we wanted to get into a little bit of your story.
Okay.
And yeah, what was your life like? I guess we'll start in
Yeah.
childhood, if that's all right. Like,
Okay.
what was it like
Yeah.
growing up and dealing with your identity?
Okay. I was raised in a very religious household. I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. So very strict. No cussing, no rated R movies, no PG-13
yeah.
movies.
No Sex in the City.
No Sex in the City. No Samantha. No birthdays. Very, very.
Oh yeah, I had some
no
Jehovah's Witnesses.
holidays.
You guys don't celebrate birthdays or holidays?
No, nothing.
Wow.
And so, but at the same time, my family was very much not healthy in that there's a lot of like mental health issues. There's a lot of bipolar, drug addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom, in particular, my grandparents. It was just part of growing up. And then it was like, but also we were religious. So there was like one side was very, very religious, very, constant at the congregation meetings and attending, the ministry. And then like at home was pretty dark,
Wow.
pretty terrible. Yeah. And so then that was just like my whole upbringing.
So did you know at this point that when did you start to realize that you were like, might be gay?
I was thinking about this yesterday because I was like, when did it happen? When I think there was a moment when I was like 4. I was in a bathtub and my father's stepson came in and I was like, why is he wearing clothes? And I was like, oh, I wanted him to be naked. Like I just
Yeah.
then I was like, I think that's the point where I was like, oh, this is what
Yeah.
I'm looking at this,
Yeah.
So since then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was always like, well, I can't do that, so I need to figure out how I'm going to rectify this. What am I going to do? How am I going to, sell myself to my family and to my congregation so that they understood that I'm not gay. I'm just,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm guessing,
Yeah.
I actually haven't dug deep into this with Jehovah's Witness, but I'm guessing it's not great to be gay.
No, they're very black and white. So, where I think more religions now are more like they'll take the word and then kind of, use it to, or not switch the meanings, but like kind of broaden the meaning so that it's, more inclusive, where Jehovah's Witnesses are like black and white. We do not veer off of this path. So there was no option to continue. So I kind of stayed, pretty loyal. I didn't get baptized until I was 25.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I moved away for a little while, but all the while, like, I was still pretty, like, I had a conscience. So I didn't do much as far as, like, my,
Were you trying to date women at this point, or was it just like...
Yeah, I dated women. I had several girlfriends.
Nice.
But I couldn't do anything because,
Well, Jesus
in
is
the Chiefs,
watching.
because Jesus was watching.
He's watching.
I also didn't want to.
It's a great excuse.
Yeah, we'll wait till marriage.
No, a purity culture is the best like way to hide your sexuality. It's like, oh no, I'm just like so good at being pure.
Yeah, of course. And then like there were many times where the friends, we call them friends in the congregation, would want to set you up with this young sister, and I'd be like, all right, well, it's
Yeah, here we go.
Sorry,
you have really nice hair. Can I brush it?
Oh my god.
But
I just
even,
want to touch your hair.
even the way I talked, my gestures, everything was so like scaled.
Yeah, you
And
feel
I
like
could-
you're kind of like pressed inwards almost.
But I could be funny, and I can like have conversations with people, and I think that could distract for a long time.
Wow.
So you
What is-
so 25 is when
I was going to ask, haven't done a ton of research into Jehovah's Witness, but can you like give us a brief like rundown of that faith belief?
Yes, of course. So they are Christian.
Okay.
They are footstep followers of Christ. Very, very much Bible based. We do not veer off anything in the scriptures. We dissect.
Okay.
Everyone is you're studying 7 days a week. You're going to meetings.
Wow.
Or church. You're going 3 times a week. Ministry as much as you can.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea is that you are not storing up treasures on earth. You're storing up treasures in heaven. So that means that your life is focused on not making money, not having business, not
Really?
It's just ministry. So a lot of times, I know in my family it was like work part-time, ministry full-time.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because you're trying to save as many people as you can.
Yeah.
And then the idea is that the world is coming to an end. Armageddon is near.
Yeah.
War, famine, all these things are signs of the last days. And so then the urgency it's now.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
And then should you survive Armageddon, or if you died and you were a good, servant of God, that you'd be resurrected. We don't believe in hell. We don't believe in heaven. In that, like, humans, general population go to heaven.
Okay.
You are resurrected back to earth.
Wow.
You restore the earth
about
to a perfect paradise, the way God intended it to be.
Oh, okay.
And you have 1,000 years to do that. After the 1,000 years, Satan is released, and he has the last chance to like get his people back.
Dang.
Wow.
And then if you win, then it's all good.
It's basically Hunger Games,
I mean,
what it's based on.
It does sound kind of adventurous. Like, it sounds like a challenge. We had a lot of that too. I've obviously, like, evangelical Christian has some similarities, but yeah, it's all very high stakes, right?
Yes.
Wow.
So that's the thing. And then there is 144,000 people that are anointed by God that would go to heaven and serve with Jesus.
Wow.
And like serve as kings and priests alongside him.
So
And
it's like
that's
the
in the
most
Old-
holy kind of.
Yeah.
That's in the Old Testament, right? Because
Yes.
there's a verse, right? That there's
144,000 that would serve as kings and priests along with Christ. I think Revelation talks a lot about that number. And a lot of people use that number for different things, but the Jehovah's Witnesses used that number to represent the people that would serve with
Got
Christ
it.
in heaven.
Okay, so what was it like growing up with that idea of like the end of the world is near?
It's like, it's fear. So you want to do the right thing so that you don't, not make it. And it also gives you conviction, because you're like, well, if the world is coming to an end, I need to knock on as many doors as I can.
Wow.
And talk to as many people as I can. I want them to survive.
Yeah, of course. So you're going through all this and you've got all this weighing down on you. So you just kind of suppressed everything until you're saying 25. Is that when some stuff started to shift, or when did you start to say? Because so it was primarily religion that kept you in for those years. Yeah.
Yes, it was religion, and it was also like my like I was saying, my home life was pretty terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my mother was a single parent. She was a very successful, business lady.
Wow.
But like, after hours, it was like dark.
Dang.
Weeks without, really being able to talk to her, and then my family as well, just kind of not available. So it was like, in my head, I knew that I couldn't do anything for myself until my mom was going to be okay. And then I could be like, okay, now I can get help. Now I can tell her that I may be depressed, or maybe that I'm struggling with, whatever feelings. So I wanted just to protect her.
So you put your needs kind of behind
for sure.
her needs.
Yeah. Wow.
And so thinking about something that might affect her negatively, like you being gay, wasn't even something that you could even consider.
No.
So it's like you're not only going to disappoint God, but you're going to disappoint your mom, and she doesn't have any capacity to handle that.
No.
So you're just like, nope, I don't matter.
Yeah, I don't matter.
Dang.
And, she was dealing with a lot of like my youngest sister. She had a child with a boyfriend, and he killed himself. So it was like all these things
my
that just kept
gosh.
happening.
So much.
And then I could not ever be like, hey, look at me, because she was just going through it,
Yeah.
And she would go into rehab. She went to I felt like it was almost like it became normal that she was always going to be in some kind of a treatment program.
Wow.
So I ended up moving to New York for about 1.5 years. And while I was there, she tried to kill herself.
Wow.
And I remember, like, my younger sister was living with her, my older sister was living with her, and I was like, I can't just be here and just allow them to deal with it. So I moved back.
Wow.
Yeah.
At that point, she had started to attend the meetings and regularly, and she was doing so well. And then my older sister married outside the church, and then was disfellowshipped. So disfellowshipping is where you're like, you're kicked out.
Yeah. So if there's a few different reasons, but like and it's probably higher stakes for you in Jehovah's Witness culture, like or religion, if you do the wrong thing, you're kind of sent away in a way. Is that like what disfellowship means?
Disfellowship, yes. If you do anything in contrary to what the scriptures, what you basically agree to when you baptize, you agree to, like, a very, a life that's very, in accordance to the scriptures. So you marry somebody who's in the church. You don't have, premarital sex. You are not gay. You don't do drugs. You don't. And that's like a promise that you make when you are baptized. So then if you do anything against that and you're baptized, then you are dealt with. Yeah, you're disciplined.
And then so this happened to your sister. Can you be redeemed after that? Do you have to like sign the commitment again, be baptized and commit to never doing it again? Is that how that works?
Yes. So then she did that. She was disfellowshipped. I was not baptized at the time, but I remember thinking, like, I think this is a good thing for her. It was like, discipline is good. I can kind of like agree with that. I saw how the congregation like surrounded my mom to like comfort her, and she had just lost her child in essence to the world.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I think this is the right thing to do. So I was 25. Kind of all my friends became Jehovah's Witnesses. I started to study, and then I'm very much like 150% when I do something. I'm like very committed. Any new project, I'm like super.
That's awesome.
So then I was like, I studied and I did, the work, and then I got baptized when I was 25.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And at that point, my mom was doing wonderful. She became a pioneer. That's somebody who does the ministry like full time. They have to meet quotas and preach for, a certain amount of hours. My younger sister started doing well. Same thing, pioneering. So then it was just kind of like, well, I'm just going to do this.
And so what's your internal world going? Like, you're just kind of committed to give up that side of your sexuality?
Yeah. My constant prayer is just, get me through a week. Get me through a week. Get me through a week. And then I would do like, 2 months without like looking at pornography or, chatting with a guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, oh, I think I'm doing great.
Yeah.
And there'd be times I'd, not do so great.
Yeah.
I mean, human. This thing isn't easily like, you can't just put your sexuality away and expect it to like not have not come out in some way or another.
Yeah.
Just kind of the way things work.
Yeah. But I mean,
Strong.
I think like I tried my hardest. I was like super, I try to be really, kind and generous with the friends but there was still always that thing, like, I don't fit in here. Like,
Wow.
there's too much of a secret here. Like, it was just hard for me to fully immerse myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was always kind of like a weight on my shoulder.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
It's interesting how, like, even if you're trying to do the right thing, you still know what's going on. You still know that you feel different, and a lot of people know too. So you just never quite. You can't hide this in such a way that you don't feel different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that was 25. I got baptized, and then for the next 5 years, I was, doing the most.
Wow.
You can scale up in the congregation. There's positions for men mostly to become a ministerial servant or a elder, and then up from there.
Wow. Okay.
So I was doing that, and they were using me a lot. They were sending me to like other congregations to help where like the need was great. You're doing public talks.
Wow.
You're leading the congregation out in the ministry. It was all encompassing, and it also like meant that everything outside of the congregation was kind of off limits. So like even though I had to work full time and work with people, I was very like guarded.
Yeah.
They are politically neutral.
Okay.
They don't vote. They don't
no one
engage.
votes?
No, they don't engage
Interesting.
in any kind of a political discourse.
Wow.
So like anytime it was, somebody, started talking about politics, you just had to like remove yourself
Dang.
because you could not comment. Yeah. So it was just like my whole life was kind of work, go home, study, stay up until like 1 a.m. studying the Bible.
Wow.
Preparing for a talk, preparing to like go to somebody's house who needs encouragement, and having a couple scriptures to share with them.
Wow.
And yeah.
Do you feel like going full on with things was a way to distract yourself from your sexuality you were hiding?
Sure. I mean,
Yeah.
to this day, that's just, I'm always kind of like trying
Go,
to like,
go.
It's a coping mechanism, right? To
Yeah.
just kind of like
Yeah.
get to the next step. Just
It also makes sense with your mom, because if everything is like up in the air and like upheaval, you kind of want structure, and that gives you a lot of structure and not a lot of chaos to be somebody to worry about. And
Right.
so that
Right.
makes sense. Wow.
Yeah. Would you say like people around you, was the environment? Because I know you, like, obviously your family and friends that were part of the church were pretty anti-gay, obviously. But was the culture around you, like your school, where people are like around there, was there a constant atmosphere of kind of homophobia, anti-gay, or did you ever feel like you were in environments where it would have been okay to be gay?
Well, you know what? Where I work now, they're so open, and they're so like, it is like it was kind of like a perfect environment for me to, once I was out, to be so comfortable, because it was just, they encourage whatever you are, you can be 100% that.
Totally.
But so I think that mostly that those thoughts and ideas came from my family and the church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can really, you don't talk negatively about it, but you do like, joke about it, know, in a general sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's, brother so-and-so is kind of flowery, or, and,
Yeah.
or he's never been married. I wonder why, that kind of a thing.
Yeah,
It was never like,
totally.
to his face, to their face. It was just kind of like, joke. So I always, knew how to, I feel like I knew how to like keep myself, not part of that conversation.
Yeah.
Totally.
No,
Yeah.
when you hear the jokes, you could be the butt of that joke if you slip up. So like,
Yeah.
it's that danger sense. You're like,
Yes.
okay, definitely have to not do that thing that he's getting teased for. You're kind of
Yeah.
just logging all this in there in your little gay brain.
Yeah.
So so we're talking like, so 25, this will happen, then 30. I don't even know how old you are now, but now you're still just going full on in the ministry. And then what finally was like the breaking point for you where you're like, can't do this anymore?
So I was 29, and I was living with my younger sister, and I had an iWatch. That's what they're called, yeah?
Yeah.
An Apple Watch. And I had left it at home, and I had been chatting with somebody and texting. And so I came home, and my sister had my watch, and she was like, Al,
Oh my gosh.
What's going on?
Oh no.
So another thing is like, if you are, privy to information, somebody is involved in wrongdoing and they're not going to say anything, you're blood guilty if you do not say something.
Oh my God.
Guilty?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So then it was kind of like, I'm a grown ass man.
Yeah.
My sister is, confronting me with this information. It's true. So I just was like, I'm not going to have her, have this weight on her shoulders. So I was like, okay. 20 minutes later, I was on the phone with one of the elders in the congregation. I was like, this is going on. And then it was like, okay, I got off the phone. An hour later, a committee is formed. So like, anytime there's, any wrongdoing, the brothers form a committee, 4 or 5 brothers, and you present your case, I guess, and then they determine if you can stay in or you are eliminated. Yeah,
That's so intense, dude.
So also, I was always like, I'd never been a part of that arrangement. I never had done anything. I mean, I had done things, but I never been involved in that setup. And the idea was that if you are fully repentant, that there was going to be some forgiveness there, and you would not have to be eliminated in essence, but
disavowed or whatever.
Yes, and I was like
Sheesh.
150% apologetic.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to lose my family.
Yeah.
I don't want to, at the same time, I'm like thinking about my mother. What is this going to do to her? What is it going to do to my family?
Right. And there's so much.
So then I was like, listen, this is what it is. I went back and I said, this is the my childhood, the tumultuous, terrible upbringing.
Yeah.
That was not an excuse for my adult, decisions, but it did, shape who I am.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like this, word vomit so that I could be saved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I gave it all to them, and I told them stuff that I had not told anybody.
Wow.
Stuff that happened to me in my childhood.
Yeah.
And so you do that. You talk to the brothers, and then you leave the room. They pray about it, and then you come back when they're ready, and they say, if you are going to stay or not stay. And again, I tell you, I was like, I'm going to be fine because I'm
doing the right thing
to do this.
Yes.
And you believe in the faith too. You believe you were trying to do the right thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just needed help. I just needed, at that point I was like, well, just, guide me, help me, don't leave me.
Yeah. No, you need,
Yeah.
what are you supposed to do? If this is inherently wrong, how are you supposed to battle this alone? You can't tell people, you can't talk about it. They have impossible expectations in so many ways.
Yes. And so then came back and they're like, we've decided, because I had held some response, some I was a ministerial servant, so I did have more, responsibility, and I was not truthful, and I was kind of, that they were like, you are going to be disfellowshipped. And you have 7 days to counter that. You can come back and, I don't know, supply other evidence, I guess. But I was like, no, I can't, this is what it is. I don't have any other evidence to supply you. So then you have 7 days to say your goodbyes.
What do you mean goodbyes? You can't talk to your family anymore?
You can't talk to your family.
Talk to them at all?
At all. And I think a year ago, there was some new information that allows people in the congregation to, if they see you, they can now say hi to you. But before, according to the scriptures, they can't even eat a meal with you.
Oh my God.
So
your family can't, your mom, your sister.
My family, the congregation, my friends, my family, they're all Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh my God.
But I have to tell you though, my sister had been disfellowshipped, right?
Yeah, she was still disfellowshipped.
She was still disfellowshipped, and I hadn't talked to her for 10 years. So I knew
10 years.
Yeah. I knew the weight of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You can come back. You have to you have to write letters, and you have to reapply, I guess. And if they, think that you're serious about it, then you can come back. And that was the deal. That was I was going to come back because I needed my family.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we get to the day, where I'm going to be disfellowshipped. I have to drive myself to the congregation. They announce it in front of the congregation.
You come on stage?
They don't
Okay.
come on stage, but at the end of the meeting, they say, brother so-and-so is no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh my God.
They used to say disfellowship, but then they changed the wording so it's not so,
Still sucks.
crazy.
Still-
Yeah.
Still sucks.
But yeah, I remember like my mother was going to work before she went to work at 3 that day, and I had to go to the meeting at 7, and I said, never, I was desperate.
Yeah.
And I was like, please don't make me do this, because I don't want to lose you guys.
Yeah.
She was like, Al, and it was so wrong. Now I think about it, it was such a wrong thing, but she was trying.
Wow.
And she's like, Al, I understand what you're going through because I'm an addict.
Wow.
And she was like, so I love you and I'll see you. And then it was like my younger sister, and I was like, Nat, please don't make me go. She was so dry.
Yeah.
She had such conviction. They both had such conviction, and I was like, oh, I wish that I had that strength, because they were like, no, you're a wrongdoer. You're a wrongdoer. You need to go through this. But I remember being like, I'd never experienced such like despair. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then now I think about when my mom said that she could identify with me because she was an addict, and I'm like, I'm not an addict though.
Yeah.
I'm just gay, and like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
I'm not. It was not the same thing.
It's not.
So then I went, and then waited until the end of the meeting was done, and then they announced it, and you're just like humiliated. I did so much. Much for them, and I felt like kind of betrayed at the same time.
Years.
But the idea was that I was going to come back, and I was going to come back every meeting and be as regular as I could, so that they could see that I wanted this.
Yeah.
And I was watching your video yesterday, and you talked about the movie
Boy Erased.
Boy Erased.
Yeah.
And that had just come out.
Oh man.
So I went to the Tower Theater. It was rated R. I should not have seen it. But I had a lot of time on myself. So I was like, I'm just going to go see that. And I went and watched it. And I had the ticket in my pocket from the movie. And my mom, because I was living with my mom and my sister. My mom found the ticket, and she was like, she couldn't, we had to live with each other. So she could talk to me in increments. But
You're living with her, and she's still like trying to not talk to you on some level.
And most of the time I just stayed in my room. Mind you,
Roommates. Yeah.
It was kind of a weird situation because they were both working part-time and I was working full-time. So they were kind of like, living with me, and yet they were like treating me so terribly in the house, because that's what they had to do. But anyway, she found the ticket and she was like, what are you doing? This is the worst thing that you could be doing. And that was the moment where I was like, oh, I'm not going to change.
Yeah.
This isn't working for me. And so then that's when I was like, I need to remove myself from the situation. I moved to Midtown, found a little studio. And then I remember just like kind of driving around. Everything is so regimented, what you're eating, what you're doing, that I was like, I guess I can go to Taco. If I want to go to Taco Bell, I can go to Taco Bell. Like, or
You couldn't before?
You couldn't have Taco Bell?
well, it was just kind of like there was this. What I mean by that is like there's everything is so much like you're part of a group all the time.
Yeah.
So you can't really make a decision for yourself. You kind of have to go with the flow. And so things like going to Taco
stuff
Bell
by
was kind of
yourself
like
on your-
it was kind of like so. Then it was like step by step, finding my independence and doing things that I wanted to do. I remember buying a couch from IKEA. I'm like, oh my God, I bought a couch from IKEA. Like that was pretty progressive for me.
Wow.
Yeah. Man.
So then, the last 5 years have been like figuring things out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is still pretty fresh.
It's pretty fresh. Yeah. It's pretty fresh. I think like, the first year was pretty terrible. And then I could kind of like, get involved in like, not trying to make friends and distraction and work. And then, starting my own little business. And but it comes in waves.
Yeah.
I just lost my grandmother
I'm sorry.
and my grandfather, and again, it's kind of like a text.
Yeah.
You know, I was a part of their life, and I did so much for them that now it's just like information. I'm not invited. I don't know where, you know, the services are. I don't know where they're, you know, but it's just like, you know, every once in a while, although you're progressing, you're doing your thing, or you just kind of like get a, you know, slap in the face, or you're like, oh, yeah, that's the way you're thought of, you know?
Yeah.
Is your mom still in the church?
She is. Yeah. So it's been about 6 years since I haven't, you know, talked to her.
So wait, so now that you guys don't room together, you guys don't talk?
So that I stopped living with them.
Yeah. So once that stopped, did you guys stop talking?
Yeah, because the arrangement is if you are living with somebody, or if you have any kind of a family business, you can talk about that. You know, so if I, you know, owned a home with, you know, my sister, I could talk to her about that. But besides that, everything else is very limited. You can't.
Wow.
So you're kind of alone right now.
Well,
As far as that goes, have you reached out to your sister?
so then, yes, which was a wonderful thing, because, you know, I hadn't talked to her now 10 years.
Yeah.
And then I'm now been eliminated, and I felt like such trash to just reach out to her and be like, hey, now we could be friends. But she found me on Facebook, and she was like, Al, I love you. Call me. And I did. And it was, and then it was like back to where things were. And she had already been out for 10 years. So she kind of had like a new idea about this arrangement, and she would call them a cult. And I was not ready for that kind of a, you know, label.
Yeah. A lot.
And so she was progressive about the whole situation, and had done a lot of research. And so then she could kind of like help guide me. And ideas that like I didn't agree with until maybe recently, you know.
Wow.
So I just kind of had to like remove myself, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how did you get through that idea? I mean, what happened to your faith through this process? Did you kind of have to put it all on the table and think about it, or where'd you go with that? I
didn't, you know, automatically say like, God isn't real. I'm an atheist. I'm not. I know it. I still feel that it's real, that that God is real, that there's a purpose, his purpose. But I knew that my lifestyle was contrary to what the scriptures were saying was right. And so then I had to be okay with like, you know, living a lifestyle that was contrary to that. And, you know, and also being okay with the repercussions of what that is. I think more recently though, I think about my life and the way I, you know, interacted with people, and how I loved my family, and how I, you know, cared for them, and I treated them, and my grandmother, my grandfather, my aunts and uncles. And it gives me peace, because I feel like if the scriptures are real, and what the scriptures say about, you know, God does not forget the good deeds that then I think I'm okay, you know?
Yeah.
Totally.
So I don't know. I joke about being an atheist because it's kind of, you know, funny, and it's kind of like from where I came, it was so like, you know, devout to now I'm such a heathen, you know. I like to say that, but I'm not. I'm not. I do miss praying. I don't pray because I'm like, what good is gonna do if there's like, you know, everything in my life was prayer based, you know. Every decision that you make was prayer based. Every time you go on a plane, you say a prayer. Every time you travel, you know, to the store, you're saying a prayer for like help, guidance, and make me, you know, help me make a right decision. So then that was gone. It kind of like left me like, oh, what do I do? What now?
Yeah.
Who's gonna
Absolutely. Like it's almost like you have someone guiding you all the time. You feel like everything's safe because you have someone else making the decisions for you. God's living your life for you. And like, it's so weird. Like when you're talking about when you first came to Sacramento, you're just like, I'm just doing what I want when I want. Mm-hmm. And when you're deep in, especially like high control religions, I think like there's a lot of different denominations where it's very high control. We've talked about this a lot. It takes away that ability to make your own decisions. And when you get out, you're like, what do I do with all this freedom? It's kind of terrifying at first. But then you look back and you're like, why would there ever be a time when I don't have freedom? Like, when did God say, I mean, I guess, again, getting into theology here, I don't want to like just say any like big quote, but like, I don't believe, like, I'm still wrestling with my faith as well, honestly. And I don't feel like there's any instance of a faith, spirituality relationship where it makes sense to have no control over your own life and give that all up to like pastoral leadership and just the leaders of the cultural religion in your space. Like, I can't imagine any God that is all powerful wanting you to totally submit to the good ideas of your local religious leader and not think for yourself, not have your own relationship with God, your own relationship with your faith. That's when I'm like, I just can't believe that. I can't believe an all powerful God would say that person should control your life.
Yeah.
But you look at like your religion, my religion, that was what was happening. And so if there's a God that really loves you and they want to connect with you, why would he say the only way you can connect with him is through this person or that faith or that stream? Like, that piece never really clicked in my brain and was one of the pieces where I'm like, I don't think you guys are in control of God. I think God's a little bigger than that.
Yes. And I really do believe that there's a personality type that is suited for. Yeah. And although I tried very hard I always questioned, and I always, had other, ideas that, I talk to my sister now and we're very similar in that way. And then my younger sister is very much a follower. Yeah. And so it's just kind of a personality thing. And so I think that there are people that, desire that or need that, and that's good for them. Yeah. And then there's others that are just, we have thoughts and ideas,
Yeah.
Well, even with that, like, your whole story, you're just so strong, and what you've been through is insane. And to now be standing here today, and you have a business that a lot of local people just love. Like, how did that come to fruition? And taking a risk on yourself.
That's an interesting thing because, part of being a Jehovah's Witness is like, you do not, again, you're not storing up treasures on earth. So you're not desiring
you're
to
not
make
ambitious.
extra cash, and you're not trying to like, set yourself apart from other, bakers, and you don't want a name for yourself. The Lord didn't want a name for himself. He was very humble. And so you would never, desire that for yourself. So then, anytime that was talked about, it was always like, if you put yourself out there, the devil's gonna come and chew you out, spit you out. And so you're always thinking
So
about
intense.
shit. Yes. And it is always so intense.
Yes.
So then when I was like, putting myself out there to do, sell my pastries, I was always aware that something bad's gonna happen. Something, this is not gonna end well for me because I'm doing exactly what we're not supposed to.
The sin of selling pastries. Number 1 on the 10 Commandments. Do not sell pastries. Do not sell pastries.
Yes. Fusion pastries at that.
Oh my God.
So then it was like, the same love that I have for my family and the care that I had for like, making friends and being kind and generous, or trying to, in the past, I put that into like my pastries, so, it was something fun and exciting for myself, and it was like a creative outlet for myself, knowing like, it's going to not end well. It's not going to end well, but at least, I'm doing something to, pass the time. And I for whatever reason, I've gotten comments about, even just like the look of, your Instagram, and I don't think about it. It's just, I put it out there, but that people enjoy it or can identify with it. It's kind of a freaky thing, but I think the vein is that it's just like love and care and quality, hopefully, and engaging with people. Because I'm out there on the streets at a pop-up, and I can be like, I know who you are. I've seen you on Instagram, and I love your shirt, and I'm using the things that I've learned as a young kid, to overcome, conversation stoppers at a door when you're out in the ministry. How do you do that now when you're meeting somebody and they're, a little guarded? Well, I can kind of, work my way through that and hopefully get to a connection with somebody. So I think that's kind of how it started. It was just kind of like, a couple friends were like, we want to do this, you know, we have this idea and you're a baker, so would you want to participate? And we went to Mexico City and we got inspired, and then I came back and I started to like work on doughs, and
So cool.
and then we just started doing it, and it worked. It went well for us.
Yeah. Can you plug really quick what the name of the bakery is?
Yes, it's Pan Pan Bakery.
And what are you making exactly?
So it's Mexican fusion pastries.
Yes.
We do like conchas, you know, puerquito cookies, but it's always kind of like a twist on what the traditional is. So it'll be maybe the same shape, but a, you know, different texture. So yeah, and the idea of pan, it's pain pan. It's a French and Mexican, you know, fusion, but it can also like encompass, you know, any other.
Cool.
You know, I do a lot of like Asian style flavors and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it kind of like opens up everything, you know, it's fusion, but a lot of people think that I'm in pain because the name
Pain bread.
pain bread. And they're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, well, let me tell you about my past.
You want to know. You want to know about my pain bread.
Yes.
There's pain baked in every loaf, and you'll see why. No, it's interesting because hearing what you're doing, and I know like a ton of communities come around you, and you've built some beautiful life here. And when you come out of Jehovah's Witness culture, you're kind of saying goodbye to so much of your community. But you've come down here to Midtown and really just being everything that you are, and letting everything out, you know, being gay, being yourself. It seems like you've experienced this whole new community. Yeah. The same effort that I, you know, put into like, you know, maintaining my relationships with my friends in the church and, you know, with my family. I've tried to do that outside of that. So even my coworkers, again, remember, I was super guarded. I could not, you know, engage. I could not intimate with a lot of my coworkers. But then as soon as it was like that was lifted, they were the first ones to embrace me and make me feel like you're going to be fine, you know? And so then I feel like it's my duty to just be as open as I can with people. Honestly, I've gotten a lot of like messages on Instagram, people who are like struggling with, you know, being gay, but not being able to, you know, express themselves. And I'm like, I'm here for you when you're ready. I've got some people. We're going to make this happen, you know, but you know, at their, you know, when they're comfortable. And I think that's kind of like, been an amazing thing for me to like not distract myself, but like devote my time to hopefully trying to help somebody to not have to suffer so much. That it doesn't have to be suffering, that it can be a good thing. And there's more on the other side. Why would we ever believe that hiding a piece of ourselves will like lead us to having healthy whole community? Right. You know, because in that community you used to be in, it felt like everything. It felt like your life. But there is a piece of you that wasn't being shown. Right. Now you're in a world where you're probably told this. Like I know I was told this in my, like even like all Christians, I think we see the other side of the world as like not good. And I know evangelicals will get more into the world, but then also we like look at it kind of like, you guys are all a little dangerous. We're not really going to let you in our community. It's just more subtle. But when you finally embrace those people and you're not like treating them religiously, you realize like a lot of the most beautiful, most open love is from people that aren't doing things with the religious agenda. Right. Because no one out here has any, like, they don't need to love you because they're supposed to. Like, they see you for everything you are. They see that you're gay. They see that you're this, that, and they've chosen to love you. Like, that revelation hit me hard. I didn't realize how, like, programmed I was to believe that everyone outside of the church was, like, I don't know, scary, dangerous, unhinged, whatever.
Evil, evil, and like we would refer to them as worldly people. They're worldly. They're just like trash. They're like close to they're
lesser.
They're Satan.
They're lesser.
Yes.
And how would a loving God that created every human think about that belief that a lot of religious people have?
Right.
And we make it subliminal. We make it low key. But I would say most religious people, once they come out, they realize they have kind of seen people through that lens in some way or another.
I mean, I still struggle with that too. You know, when I see a super flamboyant, you know, gay person, I'm like, calm down. We don't need that. But then you know, it's just kind of like natural reaction, like
Yeah.
my first reaction, because that's what you're taught. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, oh, actually, this fool, he's not scared of nobody. And I wish I could be like that. He's not a fool.
Dude, yes.
Yeah.
The freedom in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
the freedom that I'm so like internalized homophobia goes deep. Like you have to fight that forever. And I'm like, that person,
Never.
they have like not even messed with internalized homophobia.
No.
Yeah.
It's such a wonderful, you know, when people are, I meet people and they're like, I didn't have to go to church. I wasn't raised around in a religious household. I'm like, what a freaking benefit that is. What a wonderful experience. You just were able to like evolve however you wanted to evolve, you know?
Yeah.
It's just such a different paradigm of life and perspective of people, and the acceptance and the culture of family just looks so different when it's not shaped by religion. And there's pros and cons to
Yes.
religion, I think, but it's just so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
shocking.
And there could be real beauty in a faith journey.
Yeah.
You know, you can have a faith journey and love people, but in organized religion, in a lot of the areas around here, you just need to look at the fruit.
Yes.
And if the fruit looks more like control and judgment than it does like love, what are we doing here?
Right. Yeah.
But it's crazy, like seeing the freedom and what you're doing and the stuff you're doing in the Sacramento community, like becoming kind of a little bit of an icon. And after all that, like
You really are.
like the world, like you would have, imagine if you, like, you didn't have a choice. You had to figure this out because you're gay. And a lot of people obviously aren't gay, so they will go through those journeys. But imagine if you hadn't been gay and you had stayed in that world, like you would have never seen this whole other vibrant life, you know?
You know what? If my sister had not seen my watch, I would have been in it. You know, like I think about, you know, the kind of the darkness that I was, you know, a part of at that point in my life, but like it would have just been forever.
Yeah.
So although it was like super, you know, tragic in a sense, I feel like what a benefit that was for me to this. Now there's no more hiding.
Yeah.
You know, when I meet people who are like, I came out at, you know, 16, or I just came out, I'm like, those are the strong ones. Those are the strong ones because they didn't get caught.
Yeah.
They decided and they made that decision, and that's like conviction. And I'm like,
Preach on that. Yep.
yes, I love that.
Yes.
I love that conviction. You know?
Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I can like relate to being thankful for something blowing up, hindsight.
Yes.
But when you're in it, you're just like, this is like the worst thing that could have ever happened to
know.
me.
Yes.
But now something I always say is like the truth always comes out. Like
Mm-hmm.
whether you delay it or it comes out quick.
Yes.
I think it just always comes
Yes.
out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's
And it's freeing.
one time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's scary, but free.
Yeah.
No, we're glad you're free.
Yeah.
I know. Thank you. I'm glad I'm free too.
No, it's a crazy thing
I'm
to
like
not be.
Shawshank Redemption over here.
I know, man. You were full
Dug
on.
myself out.
That was some major non-freedom and you're like in a serious relationship now. You're living this whole life that you never thought you'd get to live. Probably thought you're gonna be single forever.
Yeah.
And look, you know.
I know. No. Even like, again, you know, I said going to Taco Bell. It was like a big thing for me, and now it's like, well, I can travel the world if I wanted to.
Yeah.
I can, you know, do whatever the hell I want to do.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, what is that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I get to choose my own
Yes.
desires.
Yes.
Do you have any dreams for Pan Pan?
Yes. So my goal is to have a brick and mortar.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I've worked. Are you familiar with Estelle Patisserie? Estelle's Patisserie?
Yes.
No.
No.
I'm not.
So
They do a
Estelle-
lot of pastries
yeah.
around town. They're by the Capitol. Or no, the stadium.
There's there at Doko, and there's at Arden. It's a French patisserie.
Okay.
And I've worked with them for, you know, I want to say like 12 years now.
Yeah.
I have 400 jobs, by the way.
Yeah, no, I'm realizing.
yeah. So I've loved the concept. I love Esther, the owner, and she's like my mentor, you know, as far as
yeah.
business, because she's a businesswoman, you know.
Heck yeah.
And so the concept is basically Pan Pan is a Mexican Estelle Patisserie.
Whoa.
You know, wine, savory pastries and that kind of stuff. So that's the goal. That's the
That's
goal.
awesome.
And I feel like there's room for me
Hell yeah.
in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And-
Absolutely.
And there's so many other avenues that I'm like, you know, wanting to take after establishing that
Yeah.
concept.
I love it.
You know.
Oh my gosh,
So
that's
Wait,
that's
cool.
the
so
goal.
how can people find you
Yes.
if they want to jump on and see what you're up to?
Instagram.
Okay, and how do you spell your?
So it's Pan PAIN bakery.
Great.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram.
All right.
I have a TikTok, but I don't really.
Yeah, well, we
anything
might not
with
have
it.
that in like 3 weeks. Like,
Oh, that's right.
We'll see. We'll see.
True.
We'll see.
Yeah, just find me there. And I usually, if I'm going to do a pop up, I'm posting like a week out.
Awesome.
Yes.
And I'm trying to attach myself to other, like, local creators and businesses who are, striving for good.
Yeah.
Love
Keep it local, keep it fresh, and yeah. So we'll see.
it.
I have one more thing coming up, and then after that, I'm just kind of seeing what is out there. What's a good partnership that's not like forced.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, just to brag on you, I had toast at a pop-up, and I've tasted his work, and you got to go follow him.
It's good stuff.
It's so good.
And I feel terrible. I did not bring you guys anything today.
It's all right.
No,
You're kind of taking a little break. It's the
terrible.
holidays, bro.
Yeah.
We've
gonna
eaten
bring
enough
something.
desserts. We'll come to your booth and do it
I'm gonna bring
proper.
you something.
Okay.
Next weekend we'll be there.
We'll find you. We'll hunt you down. Don't worry. You don't have to find us. We'll find you. No, I love those things.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
you.
for being here. No, thanks for sharing your story. It's deeply personal, and I really appreciate
Seriously.
you
Thanks.
letting us hear it.
Thanks.
You're so strong, dude.
Yeah, dude. That's
My
some
gosh.
stuff.
I don't know about that, but
I've been through some
some crazy shit.
some crazy shit,
Can I
man.
cuss here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy shit.
It's a safe space.
Thank you guys. Y'all are amazing, and I appreciate what you guys are doing because I'm just like, I have these experiences, and I just, keep it to myself. I don't know how to, but there's more. There's people out there that need
Yes.
this. So I appreciate you guys for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Lovely.
I believe someone's going to listen to your story and deeply connect with
Yeah,
it. And
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I'm here for them.
Yeah. There you go.
Call
There you
me.
go.
Follow him.
Get some bread and some great advice. Well, all in one stop.
Yes.
They're gonna come to your booth. You're gonna find someone at your like bread booth, just like getting some pastries and just like asking some deeply intimate questions. That'll be great.
I will go there.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
It's the commitment. He's
That's
there.
awesome.
Well,
Sweet.
thanks for joining us for this episode, guys. You can find us on Discord, find us on Patreon, find us on YouTube and all the other places. And thanks for being here. I also want to say we're going to do a questions and answers episode in the next couple weeks. We would love to get some questions from you guys. So if there's anything you would like to ask us, we would love to get a voice message. Yeah, so the number is...
The number is 209-560-6275. Leave us your voice message.
Yeah, so just leave us a voicemail. Wait till the answering machine comes on. Leave us a voicemail. It will play it back unless you can request on there. Say, hey, I don't want you to play this back. Just make it text. Because if you don't want your voice to be heard, or we can put like a voice distorter on it. That'd be fun.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, leave a voice message. We'll answer it on this next episode, and we're really looking forward to that. But that's it.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us on this episode.